So I woke up to the following push, and this is in regards of update 13. Fix trap disarm bug, fix cascading bug, and started the ascension changes. So let me tell you this, the cascading bug was a massive bug where Vutax could not find what was wrong or if it was even wrong. And he found a few rounding errors. So me, Etho, Stress and Falls were correct in assuming that cascading is slightly off, like it's too strong. Vutax gave me a little bit of a rundown, and from mathematically calculating the stuff that he gave me, I found that cascading is about 30% too strong at the moment. And so what does that mean, right? If I add 10 catalysts, it's like I have 13 or 14. And so what I've done this morning is that I've realigned cake vaults so that they are as strong as they were when I showcased them with Etho, so they are still going to be strong. But catalysts right now on the server are a bit too strong, which we are going to fully abuse, of course. They're about 30% too strong. So basically, if I add 5 catalysts, it's as if I have 7, something like that. Very, very good that we got to catch that before we patch, because otherwise everyone would have thought that we nerfed stuff. And so that is good. And then yesterday, he solved the data saving bug. So this means that the two massive things for me have been solved, and all we are doing now, and I really hope that Xverion will be able to grind tonight, because man's been busy this week. Because we got the UI to do, we got the shop for the Soul Flame where you purchase the transmogs and titles, and so that got to be done. And then the logic of getting the math, which Vutax is doing, for getting your embers. We're gonna call them embers. That was a suggested thing, and I think it's a little bit of a play. It's a nice nudge to Mr. Tango for Decked Out. So I think embers are great. Here's the thing. I saw a comment earlier about the fact that... thank you, Iskall, people. Someone said, thank you, Iskall, for developing this game and not being afraid of changing systems or things that have been in the game for a long time. I think that some people will probably argue that this is Vault Hunter's downfall, that I do things like that. And other people will argue that, you know, that keeps it fresh. And for sure, changing something that people are used to is scary. It is very scary, because not only do you have to worry about whether or not people will like the new feature that you do, you also have to worry about if you are removing a feature that people really like. And this is something that is going to be part of update 14 that is changing. And it's something that needs to change. And it's something that I haven't really talked about a lot. And I'm not talking about relics. Relics are changing in update 14. We've already talked about that. I don't think I will spoil how they will change, but I am very confident that people will like what we have done. Because we have finalized the design of it. We have finalized it. That's why this is here, because I was hanging out with Vutax in the evening, and I was like, we were looking at this. And so, yeah, relics are going to be great. They're not going to give time. People are going to let it about that. It's okay. I'm talking about something else. I am going to completely throw out inscriptions and catalysts from the game. Pause right here. Pause, champ. I'm going to completely throw out catalysts and inscriptions from the game in their current state. I'm not going to throw them out as a function, however. But I think I am pretty happy with, and it may change a few times till then, but I think I'm pretty happy with the new design decision that I've gone with. What I'm doing, or what we are doing as a team, is very similar of that of Jewels. We are making crystal managing into a puzzle. I'm going to give you guys some examples here, right? So we're going to keep the catalyst system like we have it with the infusing. I think the crafting process of catalyst is fine. And we'll probably add a few catalysts, add a few modifiers that you can find on catalyst, because I think that's fine. And with this new system, it will allow me to expand on the broadness of catalyst and what catalyst can do. For example, this new system will allow me to have maybe Champion's Abode as a catalyst, or maybe Uber catalysts. You know, we're talking about like 100% extra experience, or treasure, or whatever these Uber vaults are. And the way I'm going to do this is like this. Let me grab a crystal, because I want to visualize this a little bit, okay? And every single crystal will have sockets, or size, whatever we call it, right? But it will have space on it, and you will see this when you hover the crystal. And this space is going to be scaling with your level, all the way from level 1 crystals to 99 crystals. Let's for ease say that a level 56 crystal will have 6 sockets. Let's just say that. These are just numbers that I'm throwing out. Or let's actually say that it has 10 sockets to make this easier. Omega inscriptions are going to have a size, just like jewels. But the size will be much smaller span. It will be, in my current write-up, it will be 3 to 6. So an Omega inscription will have randomly rolled, instead of the instability metric that you see here, it will have a size. And it will be 3 to 6, where 3 is the best it can have and 6 is the worst it can have. I don't know what we're doing with completion. It probably might not have any. We probably might scrap completion. We might scrap that. And then a challenge inscription might have size 1 to 3 or 2 to 3 or something like that. So these are smaller. Okay, and then catalysts, normal catalysts, these catalysts here will have size 1. Bonus catalysts will probably have size 2. And super catalysts will also probably have size... maybe we scrap this whole system of super catalysts. Maybe these are always size 2, but the player chooses to make them instead of making the negative ones. So what this is going to do, it is going to allow players... It is going to remove the RNG when you make a crystal. You're going to know exactly how your crystal will look. And just like tools, it will be a puzzle. We will maintain the RNG and replayability aspect of the base items instead. So rather than having it be a random chance when you apply it so that you can't plan, it will be on the base items themselves. And I think this is going to increase accessibility for people. I think that it is extremely confusing to come into Vault Hunters and understand how you modify crystals and how you work with crystals at this point in time. And also having everything in a table is going to show you the final product so that there are no mistakes. We of course have some catalyst that makes the crystal unmodifiable. The UI needs to somehow account for that. I'm not sure how it's going to account for that, but it needs to account for that so that people can't make mistakes based on knowledge. You can make the negative effect increase the size of the crystal instead. I think that's a bit counterproductive because everything... Okay, so everything comes down to... The reason RNG is good in Vault Hunters is because it comes down to the chase. It comes down to the necessity of you gathering items, right? If you think about it, you want materials. And so when we've designed this game, we have assumed, with the current catalyst infusion, we have assumed that you are going to end up using maybe 50% of the catalyst you make. And because of that, the catalyst recipe itself and the catalyst drop rate can be 50% higher. So that it feels better for the player, and then, you know, we get the same outcome. It's like simplistic game design when it comes to RNG. Like a Chaos Catalyst, for example, would make the crystal unmodifiable immediately, still like it is today. So this wouldn't actually change gameplay. And I'm not looking... I need to have this said. I'm not looking to make the game nerfed or buffed. I'm looking to make the game more, or to make this feature more stable. Because we have cases right now where people play the game and they're really unlucky. You know, we have Megalith the Legend, for example. She's always unlucky. We have other people that are always unlucky. They have never experienced the Mega Crystals. And on the contrary, you have people that are extremely lucky and experience it a lot. And it is very difficult to balance around that because, you know, it's a bit... I want to explain it like this. It's a bit front heavy. Vault Hunters is a bit top heavy. Now, of course, I've always argued throughout the years that, well, this doesn't really matter because if you play enough, and if you have enough data or attempts, you are going to get the result you want. Let's say that I'm making a super crystal with an architect thing and I fail once. Well, okay, you know, I have enough resources to go again because I play so much. And the more I play, the more attempts I can have, and I will eventually hit those mega top-heavy results. But I'd rather like flatten this out and say, okay, well, we're going to remove that. We're going to remove the top end. You won't be able to do these 26 catalyst crystals anymore. But also, you won't get kecked with 2 catalysts. You know, and by doing that, it's going to be easier for us to balance the game and find a good value, a good in-between, where it's like, yeah, this feels good. You know, I can do this more often. And then at level 100, by the way, so the crystal will scale to 1 to 99. At level 100, I am considering making it a big range. So when you craft your level 100 crystal, it will have a random amount of sockets. And why would I do that? Well, if you think about it, Vault Hunters is about like building your resources up and then making crystals, right? And so level 100 crystals never expire. You can keep them in a chest and run them at will. And so the space for having these Omega crystals that you craft exist, like it can exist. For example, let's say that the allowed size would be somewhere, or sockets would be somewhere, right? The lowest you can get is 10, but the highest you can get is 30. Now, every crystal you craft is going to be interesting to look at level 100. This would not be the case up to level 100, but at level 100, this is a new feature for endgame. I think that's great. No more stacking crystals in drawers then. Well, you just need an entire drawer wall for crystals, right? You need one for size 10, size 11, size 12, etc. at level 100. Okay, let's have a look what chat says. Fayfair says, I'm not sure about this idea. That was the first thing I saw. I'm overly confident that this is a great change. I expect very little backlash for this, if I'm honest. I think that this buffs every single player type in Vault Hunters. I think that this makes everything more clean. The backlash I expect is from people who have a hard time dealing with change in the first place, and from people who may be at the very high-end tier of gameplay and expects to make, or like they make the 30 plus crystals. But for those people, I say this is why we have this level 100 mechanic, that you can get lucky when you craft a crystal. You can get a super crystal for you to modify. The rest of it seems to be good. It removes RNG and converts it to strategy. Plus some meta. I think it removes the meta of how to build crystals right now, which is a very gated feature. If you think about it, like you require a little bit of a university degree to understand how you make the most efficient inscripted crystal or architect crystal. Is that something you guys can agree with? There's a little bit of a university degree in order to make a crystal that is really good. And I don't like to gate things behind like super knowledge like that. Currently, you can't argue that there's a lot of skill in making crystal because it is all down to RNG. But yeah, I mean, we will see. I think that if we get the RNG aspects should stay. I love the RNG aspect, but it should be moved to the items so that the player can make the choice. Let's say that they find, a catalyst, and let's say that the bonus catalyst can roll 1 to 3 in size. Let's say they find a 3 size. I want them to make the decisions themselves, whether or not that is a valuable catalyst to them or not. And if it's not, of course, there is recycling methods for it. Sorry if this was just covered, but what is the difference between an architect crystal and a normal one? Will they have the same sockets? Yes, so everything... exactly, yeah. So hopefully we can even remove the architect seal for this, just to make it a bit cleaner for the players. Like hopefully... well, I suppose we need no objective in architect crystals. I don't know though. I don't know. But the difference here would be that you do everything in one crystal, in one bench. It is no longer 2 steps based on RNG. It is just, here is your dual applicator. Think of it like this, right? And so here's your bench, here's your crystal. This is the outcome of the crystal, and here are all your things that you're putting on it, right? And that includes inscriptions and it includes catalysts. What about random negative modifiers? Yeah, that's not a problem, right? The crystal will still say that it has a random negative modifier, and so I don't know what you mean. Like the random negative modifiers will stay. I think the random... I don't know, maybe... Oh no, why did I roll it here? Why did I roll it here like an idiot? I was going to go to the inn, I was going to make a whole thing about it. I think we have this one though. But yeah. You can also move some RNG after you have a minimum guaranteed, and after that RNG the crystal can crack and not be used. I think I've learned that people don't like the cracking of crystal. I think honestly, just to keep it simple, yeah, sure, that might be the level 100 thing. That might be a thing that we do at level 100 crystals. Instead of having them have like a large range of their size, maybe it is down to RNG whether or not the crystal exhausts or not, like we have now. But I in general, I think that I've learned that people prefer the control, and I have developed as a developer and as a designer to the point where I can merge both. I think we can have both. We can have both RNG and we can have control, and I think that is when the game is at its best. Iskall, with the expertise of chance to remove random negative modifiers stay? I think that expertise can stay. I think that Mystic can stay. Not Mystic, this thing here, Infuser. I think that this can stay, right? I don't think this is a bad thing. I think that would work with the new system. This, however, would go. Mystic would go away and turn into something else. I'm actually super excited about this crystal system. I don't think that this has many flaws, but of course, this is a way, this is a bit in the future. I said yesterday that we're aiming for end of February, first weeks of March to have it out on CurseForge update 14. And yeah, I'm going to change Catalyst. I think it is time. I think that this system needs an update. I think it needs some love, and I'm going to buy that. Because working with crystals and like modifying your crystals and like making the vault yours is exciting, or should be exciting. Iskall, would you ever be able to finalize Vault Hunters, like completely finish the game, or would it be work in progress forever, says Nuidal? Samsam says, I haven't touched Architect Vaults. They're too confusing and I can only play a couple of times a week. Yeah, that's a great point. I think this is a reason enough to redo this, is because I think that a lot of players will never touch Architect Vaults. In fact, I dare say that I think majority of the player base right now will not touch the Architect mechanic because it is too confusing. And that is reason enough for me to want to fix this system. This question, what happened to RNG Iskall? What have we done to him? I think I've just developed. I love RNG. I think RNG is fantastic. I think it's bad when... no, I think that there are better ways to do it than some of the systems that we've done in the past. And I think that I've just become wiser in designing a game, which makes sense because I've been doing it for longer. It's like a, you know, it's like a skill thing. You become more skilled in it, right? Actually, 3 and then a bonus 1 and unmodifiable. Look at that. The chance of that occurring with instability 25% is 12.5 divided by 2. What is 12.5 divided by 2? That was a 1 or 6 in 100. That was 6 in 100 that happened there, but it still happened. And so in the past, I've argued like, well, you know, just play more and you can do more of these crystals and it's fine, right? Just go into more treasure rooms, get more of the bonus modifiers and all of this stuff. And that is true. Yeah, that is true. But I think that we can do this in a way where we don't lose the interest for the player to play and gather items and make it feel better. Because a lot of it is about them. But yeah, we're constantly evolving. Think about it. Like, sure, there are always personal preferences when you play a video game. Some people like some stuff and other people like other stuff. And that is just how it is. But for the most part, I think that Vault Hunters keeps getting better. The only worry, or the only real worry that I have in my brain, is people getting like done with the game. People being like fed up. People like, okay, well, I've had enough of Vault Hunters now. And they get fed up before I have implemented all of these cool things. That's all I have to talk about with Catalyst. And I think it's going to be great. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. It'll be one of those reads that I love to read.